Ataullah Omari's statement that Afghanistan and India share one DNA? And what does it signal about relations between Kabul and New Delhi?
Well, thank you very much. I think Umair's statement by no means can be justified when it comes to the Taliban ideology of Sharia and Islamic laws and the way they had been fighting what they called the infidels and the non-Muslims and the way they had been pursuing this ideology of the first Islamic emirate of the world. So I think it's very vague and it could not be justified even the code of Pashtun Wali or Sharia or Islamic laws as the Taliban regime had been propagating. The second thing, as what you were mentioning in your introductory remarks, that the Afghan Taliban ministers' remarks are more or less, we can say that they are glorifying the king and more loyal to the king than the king himself. So I think it's time we have to realize that the Afghan Taliban regime is using Pakistan and Indian, kind of arch rivalry as a source of leverage to get maximum from all those players who are in the field. And it's not very simple. It's not for the first time we have heard the other ministers who had been visiting India from time to time that they had been glorifying India as well as Prime Minister Narendra Modi and its RSS ideology, despite the fact that the atrocities which they are carrying out against the innocent Kashmiri population. So I think the Afghan Taliban, as a matter of policy, are not just looking for some leverage in economic terms, but they are also looking towards Indian support against Pakistan on its western border. The way they are threatening, the way they are boosting off their air attacks on Pakistan, carrying out more such attacks. They even wanted to take over Pakistan's land. So these are the different kind of narratives and rhetorics which are time and again being pushed into the media by the Afghan Taliban regime. Even it's Mullah Yaqub or Amir Khan Muttaqi, they had been following the same policy of rather irritating and irking Pakistan in one way or the other. And the reason obviously is that they're not going to get anything from India, but the way they wanted to pressurize the regional countries and even especially Pakistan, that is worrisome for the region as well.
Could the Afghan Taliban regime's growing engagement with India reshape the regional strategic landscape, particularly for Pakistan and other neighboring countries, sir?
Well, I think the May 25, defeat to the Indian armed forces, it's a very clear message that all those elements who wanted India as a Asian tiger, it has turned out to be a paper tiger only. And the way the Indians were seen as the kind of economic power and a game changer and the front man to rule Southeast Asia, I think it has shattered. Now, the reshaping of this region has already started taking, because it's not simply that the Afghan Taliban regime is joining hands and colluding with Narendra Modi and its RSS ideology, but also we have seen during the Iran, Israel, and American conflict, Afghanistan and India were the only two countries in this region who had been supporting Israelis, and they had been, rather what can say, pursuing a policy which was anti-Iran. So this is also a message that how the Indian Ra and Mossad network, it is supporting and patronizing the Afghan Taliban regime, a kind of a regime which has been imposed on the Afghan people as a result of the Doha Agreement. And it could never be called a kind of a government, but a loose cohesion of a couple of armed fighters who are imposing their will not only on the Afghan nation, but they are also threatening the entire region. And the policies, what we have seen on the western border, it is really threatening for Pakistan, because Afghan Taliban regime is providing a kind of a forward base to all those hostile elements. Even we can say it's the Western hostile agencies who wanted to keep Pakistan under pressure by building up terrorist activities on its western border, also launching a kind of a water war on its eastern and western border. So this is a kind of a complex situation which has already, reshaped the entire region, and Pakistan might be looking towards the regional countries like Iran, Russia, and China, even who are sharing borders with Afghanistan, to kind of control this unnatural alliance between India and the Afghan Taliban regime, because it's also not only a threat to Pakistan, but it's also threatening the Chinese interest, who wanted to expand its CPEC and BRI and a number of other development projects, mineral exploration, various other development activities like the Afghanistan, Pakistan, Uzbekistan railway line. So these projects would be like under threat if Afghan Taliban regime continue to support the terrorist elements on its side.
So the one DNA remark has drawn criticism from some quarters. How could such statements affect Afghan Taliban's regime's domestic credibility and regional standing, as well as is it an individual minister's opinion, or is it a broader Taliban's broader strategic thinking?
Well, I think it's very much a strategic thinking. It could not be a coincidence that such a metaphoric word has been used by, and rather supported by, the Afghan Culture Minister Umare, and perhaps they might have been mentioning towards those Muslim rulers like Mahmoud Ghaznavi and others who have repeatedly attacked the subcontinent and even ruled this region. So this is one thing. The second thing is I would believe that it's a kind of a policy which the Afghan Taliban regime is pursuing. We have heard such kind of statement from Amir Khan Muttaqi. They have been saying it like they are very close to Indians. Then the visa-free and the daily flights from Delhi to Kabul. This is also a worrisome act of the Indian government, because it's constantly trying to give a message to the regional countries that it is having a strategic partnership with Afghanistan. And the way Pakistan targeted the terrorist hideouts, especially the attacks in Banu and in Balochistan, the Indian Foreign Office statement, it was also very astonishing, because India is not sharing any borders with Afghanistan. They don't have a kind of any religious affiliation. One is entirely a kind of a regime which has been imposed on Afghan nation by the Western allies under the Doha Agreement. The second regime is totally according to the Taliban's ideology and according to a number of the Muslim ideological thinkers, that the Indian RSS and Hindutva mindset is a kind of a extremist Hindu government which is pursuing a policy of Akhand Bharat and expansionist design. So I think it's quite unnatural that how different ideology which are apart at 180-degree, they are coming closer. So there might be interest, and the way Indian has repeatedly, threatened even that they would be utilizing Pakistan's soft valley from the western border to avenge what had happened in May 2025. So it's now an open secret. Then we have the example of serving Indian naval officer Kalbhushan Yadav. He was, red-handedly caught in Balochistan, and he had admitted on record that he was on a mission to carry out terrorist activities in Balochistan. So there are a number of evidences that India is sponsoring state terrorism through Afghan Taliban regime. So that is the only reason that why these the people with different and opposite ideologies are coming closer to each other.
So would it be correct to assume that this was a diplomatic blunder or a calculated message aimed at New Delhi? As well as, if the Taliban is seeking closer ties with India, what could that mean for the future of Pakistan-Afghanistan relations?
Well, I think Pakistan-Afghanistan relations are at a very low level. I think there's barely any diplomatic interaction. Yes, Pakistani nation, the Afghan nation, they feel they are close. They are bond, they have close bonds of religious and cultural, social, linguistic ties. But on the other hand, a group of armed bandits, what we can say, that now what they are doing, they are just pursuing a policy which is not even in conformity with the Taliban ideology of an Islamic State. How an Islamic State can join hands with a kind of a infidel government, which is deadly against a country like Pakistan, which has been formed in the name of Islam. So I think it's very awkward. The second thing, what you were mentioning, I think it was a clear message that the Afghan Taliban regime wanted to have more close ties with the India, rather like the my enemy is your friend. It's a very clear message to Pakistan, and we have also given a very clear message. Our chief of army staff, General Asim Munir, yesterday I had seen a statement that across the border, counter-terrorism efforts would be continuing against the terrorist hideouts which are threatening Pakistan border. And there was also a very clear message from the Pakistani Prime Minister to the Indians as well as the Afghan Taliban regime that all those who are colluding, who are conniving against Pakistan's identity, they would be taken to task. And yesterday, the press conference by the DG ISPR, he was very open. He said that they would be going to all level to hurt those who are hurting Pakistanis. So I think these statements clearly indicate that Pakistan is now not going to tolerate much. We have shown a lot of restraint on the request of the brotherly countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar, but they could not rein in the Afghan Taliban regime. They could not held them responsible to follow the Doha Agreement, which was very much clear that Afghan Taliban should not be allowing their land to be used against any country. They were not. It was not mentioned that it should not be used against the Western allies. It should not be used against the neighboring countries like the Central Asian republics, China, Pakistan, Iran, and even others. And it is being used against each one of them. There are Chinese militants living inside Afghanistan. There are the TTP militants who are attacking Pakistan. There are the BLA, BRA, and the Baloch terrorist groups which are having safe havens and training camps in Afghanistan. Then we have the Daesh, ISK, Khorasan camps there. The Al Qaeda operators are there and they are openly operating, rather, they are being supported and financed by the Afghan Taliban regime. So it means a very serious kind of issue, and Pakistan should be taking up this not only with the neighboring countries, with the OIC platform, and even the United States and Russia, China, because it's beyond condemnation now. These countries do acknowledge Pakistan's stance that Afghanistan is patronizing terrorism, but I think one step ahead, I think Pakistan should be taking up the issue of Indian state terrorism against Pakistan by financing, supporting, and even colluding with the Afghan Taliban regime and the local terrorist group.
Right, sir. Thank you. Thank you for such extensive information about the current topic. Thank you for joining us.